Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to US Election Hub, and today we're going to be analyzing the impact of Brett Kavanaugh on the 2018 midterms, because Brett Kavanaugh has an absolute impact that could either affect Democrats or Republicans, and I'm going to be talking about two different scenarios in this video. The first scenario is that after the FBI investigation over the course of this week, Brett Kavanaugh will be confirmed by next week. And so this is going to be the first scenario, and the second scenario is Brett Kavanaugh is not confirmed. So starting off with the first scenario, Brett Kavanaugh is confirmed. This would be good news for the GOP because obviously they get their Supreme Court pick, but politically and the impacts on the Senate map is going to be very bad for the GOP. This is going to turn on a lot of suburban women. They're going to come out to vote in droves. I mean, let's take a look at Brett Kavanaugh's approval rating. He's only approved by 41.5% and 42 or 50. He has a disapproval rating of 52.8%, and that's basically in line with the President of the United States. It's entirely the same at this point, and this was just taken 11 hours ago. And you might wonder, what happened to his approval rating? Well, after the testimony, he lost support from around 18% of Republican women. And what's more important is, if you're already losing suburban women, especially independents and Democrats, if you lose Republican suburban women as well, or just Republican women in general, that's going to be very bad for the GOP. And the Democrats are already excited in this, they weren't favored to take the Senate, but in this scenario, they have a good chance of taking the Senate. So let's go ahead and start with West Virginia. So in West Virginia, Joe Manchin would hold on to his seat. And so that would not be a difficult race. He's led in polling, and he's actually doing very strong in West Virginia. But there's be good news for Democrats in really tight races in Florida, Missouri, Tennessee, Indiana, North Dakota, and Montana. All these states, I think the Democrats could hold on to their seats. Because of the backlash against Brett Kavanaugh being confirmed, this would be enough to allow these Democrats to win these seats. Now, these states would become likely, or they maybe already are likely: Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and the Minnesota special election. Democrats would end up flipping Nevada and Arizona. But there's one state that probably would not flip, and that would be Texas. I still believe that Ted Cruz is going to win this. All polling still suggests that. And Beto O'Rourke, while he's being competitive with Ted Cruz, it may not work out for him, because, this is still a reliably Republican state. And Ted Cruz, in the most recent poll, got +9 ahead of Beto O'Rourke. So that's not good news for him. And so going to New Jersey, obviously New Jersey would be likely in this scenario, but New Jersey is actually very competitive. If Republican turnout is strong, Bob Hewken can actually win, because he wins independents and some conservative Democrats. But in this scenario where Brett Kavanaugh is confirmed, unfortunately for him, he's not going to make it. So this is the scenario in which the Democrats pick up tons of seats. And if we take a look at this map now, Democrats would have 52 and they'd be in the majority, and Republicans would have 48 and they'd be in the minority. And so taking a look at this, you see the Democratic pickups, they now have, are doing much better in the Southwest. Down here in the South, you got Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, Missouri. So they're still in a number of Republican states here: Alabama, Tennessee, Missouri, West Virginia, Indiana, and Florida, which is, I guess you could say, lean Republican based on 2016. So yeah, Democrats would do really well in this scenario. But now it's time to look at the scenario which is different. The scenario where Brett Kavanaugh does not get confirmed. And if he's not confirmed, it's likely because some moderate Republicans, such as Suzanne Collins, Lisa Murkowski from Alaska, I believe Jeff Flake from Arizona, and Joe Manchin would be the key factors into, stopping this nomination, or not nomination, stopping this confirmation. And so we'll only find this out by next week. But if he is rejected and he does not go on the Supreme Court, then the impacts are actually very interesting, because Democrats would be very happy. They'd stop the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh. but it might make Democratic voters complicit, because what this is going to do is in Republican states, in solid Republican states where a lot of these Democratic senators are up for re-election, these voters are Republican voters are going to turn out to vote like crazy. Right now, their enthusiasm has been down because they've been complacent. You know, they have Donald Trump, they got Donald Trump, they got their first Supreme Court justice, they got their conservative judges, you know, their conservative nominee, or like, you know, people who work with Trump, his administration officials. And so they're generally pretty happy with the state of the current country. And so, but if Brett Kavanaugh is not confirmed, this will absolutely incite Republican turnout. That's the last thing Democrats want, because if Republican turnout goes up, then the impact of a blue wave goes down. So let's go ahead and take a look at this map now, and I'm just putting some more toss-ups here because I want to explain all of them. And so in this scenario, Joe Manchin, we're going to start with West Virginia. Joe Manchin still holds his seat because Joe Manchin is a popular incumbent. I mean, I wouldn't say popular because he has his approval ratings are about the same as his disapproval, but he's a bipartisan senator, and so, you know, he's been leading against polls against Patrick Morrisey, and so he is still favored in the seat of lean Democrat. But for other Democrats in red states, unfortunately, they got some bad news, because Indiana, Missouri, North Dakota, Montana, and Florida would all end up flipping to the GOP in this scenario. And so that would be bad news for all of these Democratic senators, as the Democrats would end up losing around, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 Democratic senators. Now, looking at Texas, Texas would still be lean Democrat. Beto O'Rourke is running a very strong campaign, but I don't think he'll be able to beat Ted Cruz, as polling suggests. You know, he's still losing by 4.5 points. In the most recent poll, put him at 9 points behind Ted Cruz. In Arizona, Republicans will take Jeff Flake's seat and hold on to the Arizona Republican seat, and then Nevada, Dean Heller will win re-election. In New Jersey, Bob Hugin will defeat Bob Menendez in this scenario, but in all these other scenarios, Pennsylvania, Michigan is still likely, but Pennsylvania becomes a little bit closer. Ohio becomes a little bit closer, but still goes to the Democrats. Wisconsin, I would rate as a toss-up, but I'll say it's a tilt blue. And then this would also be tilt blue, Minnesota special election. So that's at, now let's take a look at the map. Democrats 43 to Republicans 57. If we take a look at this, you know, this is not the map that the Democrats won. In fact, in this map, they look really bad, because they might just end up, because the Republicans would be very close to a super majority in the Senate, and that would not be good news for Democrats, especially where someone like, for example, Doug Jones here, he would end up losing re-election in 2020. There's no doubt about it, and so this would give Republicans one more seat. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and see you guys next time. Bye.